You've heard a lot of debate in recent months over cryptocurrencies. Should they be regulated or should they be banned? If they have to be regulated, how? Who should regulate them? And how you should tax them? But in all of this debate, one fairly basic question has actually been missing. And that's the question we're asking today. The question is, how do cryptocurrencies come into India? Now, you're probably wondering why we're asking such a basic question at this stage in the debate. Well, because it's important and it hasn't been spoken about enough. Now, we are asking this question because India is not a large miner of cryptocurrencies. That means there are certain routes through which cryptocurrencies come into India. What are these routes? We spoke to people in the industry and we came away with two or three aspects. One is, and this is the important one, as to what is the extent to which INR or fiat is going out to bring in crypto. What we understood from executives is that this is certainly a route, but we got divergent views on how large this is. One executive who spoke to us on condition of anonymity said that banks are quite tough. They don't allow outflow of fiat for the purpose of buying crypto because the RBI doesn't explicitly allow it. But he did acknowledge that certain categories such as gifts or expenses for family maintenance overseas can be misused to actually go ahead and buy crypto. How large is the misuse? Nobody knows. A second executive said that it is a material route. That person also said that over a period of time, as crypto interest has grown, a certain category of operators, to use the word loosely, has come together who are actually using this LRS route to send out fiat and bring in crypto. We'll come back to why this is important in a minute. But there are some other routes through which crypto is coming into India as well. One of them is termed as airdrops. For those not already familiar, this is people in India who may be providing services to crypto companies overseas. In return, they're earning crypto and then that crypto comes into India. There are also tokens that are locally being incorporated, and then those tokens are being traded abroad for more sort of acceptable cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, and those come into India as well. From a retail perspective, obviously, you access these on exchanges, but that pool that is existing in terms of holdings in India is coming in through these two or three routes that we just described. Now, this is an issue which has been discussed at the Joint Parliamentary Committee, which met recently on cryptocurrencies as well. And they too wanted to understand how cryptocurrencies come into India, to understand where that fits into India's current account rules, India's capital account rules, and then the Foreign Exchange Management Act. Remember that India is not fully capital account convertible. So that's one reason why this is important to talk about. One aspect, and the important one here, is the LRS route as we just described. Now, that is where FEMA comes into play. We spoke to a former RBI Deputy Governor R. Gandhi to try and understand what he thinks the applicability of FEMA will be on cryptocurrencies coming in via the LRS route. He said you can take an unfavorable view or a favorable view. The unfavorable view is simply that this is not allowed. You can't do it. The RBI hasn't explicitly allowed it. So, it's not possible. The favorable argument is that it is in some ways an exchange traded instrument, so it can be treated as that, and hence LRS can be used to bring in crypto up to the annual limit of $250,000, which is the current limit. But FEMA provisions will have to apply to that LRS route. Mr. Gandhi also believed that FEMA provisions will apply even if there is no money outflow. So if you're holding crypto overseas from whatever the route you may be, and you're bringing it back into India, then you still need permission under FEMA, and when it comes in, it has to be taxed appropriately. The industry, and we spoke to the CEO of CoinDCX, believe that while fiat to crypto purchases will be falling under FEMA, just a crypto to crypto transfer should not actually be falling under the FEMA rules. But this has not yet been determined. Now, this is not an issue which is being debated only in India. So we did try and get a global perspective. We spoke to a consultant, Mandar Kagade, who is with Black Dot Public Policy Advisors. He was of the view that these are digitally native assets and they can be used to skirt foreign exchange rules. So this is an issue which must be discussed and must be debated. He pointed us to the Bank of International Settlements research on this, which has said that there is something called a travel rule which must be applied. That travel rule essentially says that if there is a transfer of crypto from one crypto service provider to another. That crypto service provider has to maintain all details of where that asset came from, where it goes to, and all of those details then have to be passed down the chain so that at a later stage, if anybody needs that information, it is entirely available. But the BIS themselves accepted that there isn't great preparedness among countries to actually implement a rule like this. They also said, with regards to crypto transfers, that given that this is a space which should have a lot of data available, you need to come up with new solutions to try and track some of these transfers and these chains, so that countries and their legislations aren't skirted via some of these tokens that are becoming increasingly popular. We'll just close off by saying that this is an important issue in the larger debate around cryptocurrencies. Do go to bloombergquint.com. You can read this in greater detail than we've been able to explain it here. And of course, do follow our coverage of cryptocurrencies.